This is the Venture 15 banana haul. We've installed a 2-piece trampoline on it. It's made out of an 8-ounce basket weave poly mesh. Very heavy duty stuff. It's sewn in a 138 thread, which is very durable against abrasion and holds up against UV. We do standard include a halyard pocket and some hikes made out of a nice heavy duty webbing. There's no real rhyme or reason whether you want to start with the port or start with the starboard. Just make sure you get them on the right sides. First, I'll be putting in the forward bolt rope into the track here. We have gone ahead and taken out the bolt so the track will rotate, and been able to take out the side beams so that way later we can slip them through the tubing. We also made sure to clean out the track. Just use good old water pressure, anything you can kind of poke out any debris, and then went through and used McLube and just lubricated the whole track so that way it can slide hopefully easily. When you're putting in the forward bolt rope, you do want to be careful. Make sure there's no sharp edges anywhere, because it will slice the material, but you can buff it out, or just don't use excessive force if you run into a problem. The other side. Alright. Now what we'll do is we'll put in the side beams and kind of get the sides situated while we have this unbolted. It'll be like a prelim setting. Make sure everything fits together real well, and then we'll go through and bolt it back down and lace it on up. Alright, just to review, we've got the aft beam still bolted in, but we have taken all 4 bolts off the forward one, which makes it really easy to move around. So what you want to do is now get your side tracks all set up, and essentially what we're going to do is be feeding this side beam through these little tubes that we've sewn into the trampoline. We have a nice chain plate cut out in the tube, which should line up real nice with your chain plate holes here. Okay. It does take a little bit of wiggling around, but just jockey stuff around. Don't be afraid. It's pretty high quality sewing, so you can kind of stretch it around. It'll give it nicely. Nope. Alright. Just make sure to set your beam back in the housing, the mold of the boat, and as you can see, it fits right in line with the chain plate hole, which is always good. Alright. So now that we've gotten everything lined up, we can start our lacing. Typically what I'll do is start in the center, work my way aft across the beam, and go from there. Alright, so now that we've gotten the trampoline all set up, we want to replace our bolts back into the boat so it holds for when you start to do tensioning in the aft direction. So just use a basic wrench and let's just screw them on in. So we've got the forward beam wrenched back down with the bolts, so it won't be going nowhere, and it'll handle the tension load in the aft direction. But before we get to that, what we want to do is lace up the center. What I've done is just done a traditional bowline knot right around this first grommet on the starboard side, and then I'm just going to go back and forth between all the other grommets just like a shoelace. All our trampolines in this 2 to 3 piece formation are staggered to do so. When you get a lace kit from us for this particular trampoline, you're going to get a 26-foot piece for the center, which will be more than plenty, and then you get 2 14s for the aft. So let's get started. And I just start by going to the opposite, the port side trampoline and the one right across from it. Then I go down to the staggered one, give myself a little slack, and then just start going back and forth, one to the next. At some point it'll get a little uncomfortable and you're gonna have to get down underneath, but we'll go as far as we can while still up top. Now that I have quite a few of them laced through, I'm gonna give myself a lot of slack here. Just make sure not to, confuse yourself, because you can easily get into a bind. All I'm doing is pulling out all this slack. We supply you with enough rope that you can do it pretty slacked out. Once we finish this, we'll go back and do a few runs just to really tighten it up, but you just want to kind of loosely get it together so that way you can see what you're working with. Alright, so I'm just going to continue our pattern right up through here. Just pull out that slack. Okay, now I think I can get the rest from the aft side. Alright, now that I'm back in a little more comfortable position, we're just going to keep on going down the center line. And should end with a grommet on each side lined up with each other, like so. Alright, so what now I'm going to do is basically tie off and then start just kind of working these back and forth. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of this aft lined up so we can kind of have all our ropes in place. There's no initial sag. Alright, now it's time for the aft portion. Usually you're dealing with like an eyelet or sometimes sail slides, whatever your configuration is. But today we're going to work with just going around the aft beam. So I just did another basic knot bowline around the beam here on the far end, and I'm going to essentially hit grommet to beam and try and work my way back and forth in whatever pattern I can pull off. Let's get started. that'll really cinch up your trampoline real nice there. Start seeing the shape of it all. Hike tie down, just to make things a little bit easier for now, and replace that where you want it in the end. Alright, and I just want to make sure to remove my hiking strap. We put that back on later once we get the lacing through. It'll make it a lot easier. And just come through and make it all the way to this end grommet. Now, this one's a lot easier. We'll just start moving through the slack. That'll get us nice anteed up. Alright, and now I'm going to start on the other side. I just want kind of a nice loose fitting, and then really go back and tighten everything up. So I'll tie this one off where it is now, and we'll move forward. Alright, again, I'm going to take out the hike before I get started here, just to get it out of my way. Nice little bowline, and same deal, just wrapping it back and forth. Alrighty, so we've got everything loosely lined up. Now I'm probably going to go back to the center lace and just start doing runs, trying to get everything tightened up so that way you can have a nice surface to stand on. Alright, so I'm going to do my first pass. All we're essentially doing is trying to grip up all this looseness and really get things started to get tight. Already you see it forming a nice surface. So again, I'll just tie it off to the aft beam, and then I could do 2, 3, sometimes even 5, depending on how much you want in the resistance to be able to stand on. And we leave that up to everybody. Alright, now I'm going to do the aft and just work my way to the center. I got this pretty well tightened up, which is good, but we here like our trampolines real nice and tight. Good maneuver to do, so you can do a pinch on the grommet and come over here and pull your rope, really beckon on it, pinch on your grommet, pull the slack out. same, work it all in towards the middle. As you can see, as you start to pull the slack out, we've given you plenty of line to be able to simply do this. So to terminate your knots and your rope after you're done, I'm going to throw in a couple half hitches just right around. And I wouldn't do more than probably 2, because you just may want to adjust this down the line, but once you get it nice and tight, you should be able to leave your trampoline on, and it should stay pretty tight for the life of the material. Alright, so typically how we like to tie off our hikes is go through out in each one of the grommets, help spread out the load, and you just do a basic square knot right underneath it, depending on how much slack you want. This concludes our lacing tutorial for a Venture 15 banana hull with the 2-piece version trampoline, made out of a nice 8-ounce basket weave mesh, and we were showing how to tie down the hikes made out of a durable heavy-duty webbing. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us or email us at the phone number and email provided on our website. Thank you.